a fair assumption the defensive approach last year against Army will be similar to this year?
I think
success.
we've run this system of defense really probably for about 5 years now, maybe even a little longer than that. I have to ask Rob specifically. And I think what you find is when you watch people defend these teams, they really get one of about 3 different versions of defense to defend the option. And we have our version, and every year they'll do things and adjustments to what we did last year, and every year we adjust a little bit with what we did on defense based on what we see, and then we go from there. But the basic structure is not that much different.
And in the back seven, is the emphasis more on speed?
I think that in the back seven, we're fortunate that I think we have good team speed, but I think that the effort running to the football, getting multiple guys, getting off the ground if they do cut you. Obviously, we're going to try to prevent that, but they're good at what they do. And if they do get you down, you got to get off the ground. You got to run to the ball and make sure you get as many people to the tackle as you can.
Kyle, how do you not become worried about injuries from all the cut blocks and everything?
I think you just play football. You get cut against other offenses, so it's not that you don't. Now there are going to be more attempts this week, I think, certainly than when we play other teams, but. Even as an offensive line coach, I never felt like there was a major risk of injury if you were being cut legally, from the front, which is how they do it. I think they coach their players the right way, so I'm not concerned about it.
And playing against the option, you always I think of speed on defense and just go quick. Is it almost more read react? Or you have to slow it down a little bit to play defense against them?
I think you got to be very disciplined. You got to be disciplined with your eyes. And that's probably the most important part of the entire day, to make sure that your eyes are in the right place, and whatever your responsibility is, you're making sure you're doing your responsibility first before you can run to the ball and help somebody else. You have to do your job first, because they have enough adjustments and wrinkles in their offense that if they find that you are ignoring or only half playing something, they'll take advantage of it. They'll expose it pretty quickly.
You guys are aware that even though they have 2 wins, that they were against Air Force and BC, so they're capable of beating quality, FBS teams.
Absolutely. I think we have a very healthy respect for this team, and you look no further than last year's game. It's a 1-point game at the start of the fourth quarter, so we know we're going to be in for a 60-minute battle, and they're very good at what they do. And I think, like I said earlier in the week, their record doesn't necessarily reflect that, but when we turn the film on, we see a good football team.
Well, Cal, could you talk about the tackling ability of your DBs? Is that something you look for, or Rutgers looks for in recruiting?
When we recruit defensive backs, to our team, it's always to have the ability to do both. Because even in our base defenses, we rely on our corners to play in the run, and we rely on our safeties to play in the run, and we blitz everybody on the field. So it's never a situation where we have I guess you could say, cover corner. We don't really have we have corners who can cover very well, but we don't have a cover corner who's a specialty guy. On our defense, you really have to be able to do them all, and that gets tested in a week like this. It really does.
Kyle,
that's what I wanted to ask you about. How important is that?
It's critical. It's critical. All 11 guys on the defense have to be able to keep their eyes in the right place, cancel their reads as they come to them, and then run to the football. And then when you get there, you got to be able to get them on the ground.
So what had changed with the receiver rotation to allow Miles in against Kent State for some of those drags? And
I don't know that a lot changed. I think a couple balls came his way. He had played in the prior game, maybe a little bit less because, that game, because we were down there, probably were more passes. So I think that could have affected it. But he played a fair amount of reps the game before. Just the ball didn't come his way. So I think when it comes your way a couple times, it's a little more obvious that he's in there, for sure.
Does it mean anything to have him get his first couple catches and kind of get that ball rolling a little bit with confidence for him?
I think for any player, it's always good to get the first couple out of the way. That way, it's just not in the conversation anymore. He's had it. He's done it in games. Again, he already made a big play this season blocking a punt for us. So he's been an important part of what we're doing. But I think to get for him, and really just to end that type of question, I think is always a positive.
How does it affect your offensive approach when you had 53 plays last year, which was a season low? You may have a season low again. How does it impact what you want to do offensively?
You have to take advantage of the snaps you get against this team, because they run the ball so much they're going to shorten the game, and if they get long drives, that shortens the game and limits your possessions. But in terms of your approach, I don't know that you can do anything different. I think you have to run your offense, and when big play opportunities present themselves, you got to take shots down the field. And when the opportunities to run the ball are there, you have to run the football. I don't think you can play the game concerned that you may only have a certain number of plays. You have to play the game as it comes to you. But in every game, we try to take advantage of every play. Certainly, for coaches, we realize that in a game like this, that the possessions could be less, and generally are.
But you worry about the offense getting into a rhythm if they're going to have the ball for 5 or 6 minutes at a clip, and your offense is going to be sitting, and then if they go 3 and out, they're going to be sitting for 5 minutes. Do you worry about any kind of rhythm and getting that?
I don't. I think I have to rely on the team effort. I got to rely on us playing good defense and getting off the field and executing on offense. And when different things happen during the game, you have to be ready to adjust. But as I go into the game, we go into the game with the intent of executing. If we can execute on offense, then we'll have drives. If we can execute on defense, we'll get off the field. If we can execute on special teams, we should have good field position. So as the game goes on, we certainly may have to adjust to that, but I don't go into the game worrying about it.
Well,
Got time for 2 more?
What makes Gilman so effective? I mean, he doesn't look like a great athlete.
He's a guy who is an operator, and in that offense, that's what you need. And I don't know that I agree with that he's not a great athlete. I think he's great. I think for every player in college football that has a lot of success like he does, he's the right person in the right system. And that's I could have said the same thing about Ray Rice, the right person in the right system, and he has a great career. And I think it's the same with that young man. He's the right person in the right system. He's a tremendous leader, and he's a playmaker. The fourth quarter of the Boston College game, he rips off a run, ends up in the end zone, and win the game. So it's not. I don't know that I would agree when you make it he's not a great athlete. I think he is. I think he's a tremendous football player.
In regards to the freshmen who aren't playing, how are they coming along developmentally as a group? And is there anybody who's really made strides over the course of the last few years?
I'm excited about that group. I'm excited that we have been able to redshirt so many of them. But I'm also excited at the performances. Just out here this week, I already had mentioned Ruhan. A guy like Julian Penix. I look at him over there on the scout team playing defense. He's going to have a tremendous career here. He's an excellent football player, very good natural skills, and he's just going to get better and better as he works with Coach Panagos. And there's more than that, but those are 2 guys that flashed this week. But I'm very pleased with that young group and how they've worked. And I know, just talking to Coach Cole about what they're doing in the weight room right now, I know we're moving in the right direction with them.